All right, so just like any other time, what we're going to do is go ahead and go through the different things that I've seen on the layout. So I'm not saying that this is 100% always going to be the thing that is going to be best, but these are just my first impressions. So if you're just joining the channel, now you know. So we're going to go from the back, go up, I believe it's the Dorito side first, a little bit in the middle, snake side, and then the very center. Then we'll look at some possible bounce shots. So with this layout, a lot of people have already seen that the middle is pretty open, which I'm not playing this event. I'm seeing some routes in here that I'm like, oh, this would be fun to go and do. But yeah, so be it. That's just life sometimes, right? But let's start with the back center here. So from the back center, there are some lanes that you're able to shoot into this tower along with this back line. So if someone's trying to kind of dance back here, it's going to force them to have to either dive out or maybe even try to dive forward to get out of the way of your paint. This drop shot over the top is not going to be something, I don't think, my guess is it would probably land more about here, skimming the top, maybe a little bit closer. So if someone came in and went like that, they could still make it in, but it's not one of those things that is always going to be a guaranteed shot. But if someone's trying to take a deep route, it's one of those that you could possibly use. The other thing is over here, you have that shot going into the Dorito side. Now, shooting straight back up the gut. This is going to be just straight through there. If someone, again, is trying to kind of dance a little bit, they're trying to go and make it where, you know, they're trying to sit back here or something, you do have that shot going back to them. Now, the advantage to this is that, or the disadvantage is that they can do the same shot back. So just a heads up about that. You don't want to just assume that you have that shot. The other thing is on this left-hand side, so shooting past here, it's going to be kind of a sliver to shoot through here. I don't know how big that gap is actually going to be, but it's one of those things that you are, if you practice this, it's going to be harder for this guy to make it out here alive. Now, the routes coming up and across, I think, are going to be pretty deadly. I don't think that it's going to be easy to necessarily guess where it is that they're going to be going off the break, because I think you're going to see guys come up, dive across, maybe come up here and then dive across. I don't think that it's going to be one of those that you're able to scout immediately what it is that they're going to be doing. So on the box, it's going to be difficult in my mind, at least. The good thing though is that at least you can throw paint this way. So if they did take a deeper route into what we'll just call this the snake one, so this snake 1, 2, so on and so forth, let's just say that that's snake 1. If they take a deeper route, you're going to be able to catch them. Now, if they are super tight and low, I don't think you're going to be able to shoot this player. Now, if they overslide a little bit coming into this snake 2, you do have a shot and a chance of being able to catch them in the pack. I think probably what will happen is people will dive in and crawl right in and then go right around and just hug this beam and go right into the 50 snake. You'll see it in a little bit. This is not the best bunker, but it's not that there isn't any shots. It's just coming up and you're going to be able to take a lot more ground and do it relatively safely, with the exception of if someone's doing the same thing back to you. But, you know, so be it. That's paintball, right? This can coming out, you have a shot over the top. So if someone, again, is trying to come out this way, maybe you can kind of tag team this player. So if someone's trying to kind of dance back here, you can push them into one lane or the other. Across here, you do have a shot into the snake 1. Remember that all of these, they have the same shot back. So don't just assume that because you are shooting that way, that they can't do that back to you. Shooting across here, this is not, I wouldn't guarantee this. This is just something that I saw. If you step out just a little bit, you can shoot through and drop into this zone here. So again, it's an option that you can have. And then of course, shooting past here, past that Dorito. The other can, I think this one is going to be better for at least slowing the snake. This snake, I think, might just be one of those that you need to commit 2 guys to go in there. One is probably going to trade. The other one is going to need to just go through. We'll see with how everything breaks out or breaks down this weekend. But shooting the heads up, of course, you can shoot into that gap. So This could be an option that you throw paint through in here if you see guys are favoring that across shot or across run. So that's something. Wrapping, you can shoot back at this tower. So that's another option over the top that you might be able to catch someone. Basically, anyone going up the center, you should just have your eyes up. You should do that anyway, but you should have your eyes up so that way you're able to see where is it that you might need to stop, or you might even be able to kind of shadow other bunkers and move up a little bit further. But again, that's just going to be based on the read. Shooting into here, you are gonna have a little bit of a shot. It's not, I don't think it's gonna be fantastic. Like, this is sloped going this way to the Dorito side. So shooting past that little slant, if someone is hanging out a little bit, it's a giant wedge. So it's gonna be kind of difficult. You might be able to catch someone being sloppy, but I wouldn't guarantee that shot. And then on the outside here into that tower, this can isn't bad. You have some ways that you can help out other players, and I think this is probably, in my opinion, right now, this would be the spot that is going to better help your snake, unless they don't get into the snake. If the other team hasn't gotten into the snake, there's going to be some other options that are going to be a lot better to keep them out of the snake. But this one, if there is someone, just because if you go out to here, all you can do is shoot down the wire. This guy is going to get blocked by this 50 snake, so essentially you're just letting them come through to here. At least this guy has a chance. Again, this can all change after the weekend. All right, let's go to this middle section here. So kind of going up into our other Aztec and then the two towers. So this Aztec, which we'll just call God, you will be able to shoot up over the top, but remember you have that nub, and then that mini W is going to stand up a little bit taller. So if they're low, I don't think that you're going to be able to do much to stop them. But you do have the heads up shot. So if the player is trying to put you in, you can kind of roll off a little bit and shoot into that gap still. You do have a wrap shot into the 50 brick. Heads up. Actually, you could probably even step up over the top and try to shoot up over the top of the pins to shoot back at this player. I'm not sure how much they're going to be looking snake way. I think this is probably going to be better for a Dorito side or central push, or just as a way of launching to the next spot. But again, you might be able to catch someone. Shooting across, this is a super deep shot. I wouldn't guarantee anything with this one, but Dorito side, I mean, really with any of the time the modular bunkers are on the field, you just need to make sure that you're being careful of not showing too much, because then you're going to be getting those drop shots coming in. That's a good thing with the modulars, is that it makes it where you have to play tight. It's not, you don't have a huge X in the middle. And then, of course, you can help out a little bit on the Dorito side. Now, these towers, my guess is that there's probably going to be more play for this one than this one, but I don't put it past people running over, diving, and then crawling straight up into here to then dive over or go up. I think I'll get back to this brick. I like this brick. That's just me. But so these towers are probably going to get play off the break. The good thing is that if there's a fast snake player, and let's say you've lost your snake side, at least this guy can shoot down on someone. So it's going to force them to have to try to shoot you over the top or try to wrap and battle around this side. So it's just one of those things that you're able to at least put a little bit of pressure. You can then dive out and have it where you can shoot more heads up this way. But if you're stuck here, it's not going to be something that's a bad option. Of course, the heads up, I'm not sure if this is going to be a huge gap. I don't think it's going to be too big, but you do have your shot into your mirror, sort of. This one's going to be a lot better, shooting into the wing. Shooting across into that Dorito, and then, of course, into this gap. You always want to be looking for what are the gaps that we can make sure are kind of bottlenecks for the other team, so that way you know that you can kind of contain them in certain sections. Remember, paintball isn't necessarily gunfighting. Yes, it does come down to that, but it's outsmarting the other team. So if you can get them into a spot and then bait them to try to move, it's essentially kind of setting up a pawn so that way you can go through and take their bishop or whatever. This tower has a lot more options. I think what's good with this one, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to make off the break unless you delay and then maybe go up and across. But then you have the option of going up to the wedge, out to the Dorito side, up to the brick. I think that this is going to be a pretty solid section. Of course, shooting into that snake, you have a little bit better of a shot. Just because they're going to have to pop their head up, or if they try to crawl around, maybe they'll show a little bit of a pack, something like that. This shot is a little bit more of a drop shot. It's not going to be as good, just because they have to sit a little bit further back. Shooting into this tower and then into that side of the back center. This guy is probably going to be a little bit more helpful to the Dorito side, just because they can shoot into so many gaps and kind of keep rolling with whatever it is that the other team is doing, or forcing them to have to come up through the middle, and in that case you can go up and eliminate that player. But helping out your Dorito side to move up, this looks right now like this would be a good spot to get into, so at least you can get paint in the air and make it where it's going to be a lot more difficult for the other team to move up. Speaking of the Dorito side, it does get messy. I'm sorry. I tried to get different colors. I stole my son's markers. So this Dorito, actually we'll start in the back. So with this, it's the tall juice box, whatever you want to call it. Of course, you have your shot into your mirror, but also I did the dotted line here because you can shoot into that little Dorito. I'm not sure how much that little Dorito is going to be played. It might be, but personally, I'd rather get out of something like that and get into a bigger Dorito, but that's just me. Shooting into the inside, you're able to at least check off a little bit of the inside where you have the bricks and the wing, so that way you can maybe help out a teammate to get up the field. They're going to be able to still see some moves, but at least you can check off that inside. And then, of course, you do have this shot into the snake, so if there is someone that needs help that way, you can throw paint that way. The other thing, getting into this Dorito 1, is that they have a shot going into the into that we'll just call that the God, and then shooting across, and I didn't put it in here, but they do have that same shot going into the snake as well. And then the inside, so you have a lot of people that can look into the middle to make sure that it's really difficult for someone to come across into your side. I still think you're going to see that happen, and people go up into here and into their wedge. Let's look at the little Dorito now. So the good thing with the little Dorito is when you wrap, if you don't have someone shooting down your wire, you have some decent shots into both towers and also into this middle. And then if you shoot the inside, you have this other brick, and then of course into the snake as well. So it's not terrible. I just don't know how effective it's going to be at containing everything. But this could be an option that maybe you go up into here first and then dive over. It's something. The other thing is you have the Dorito, we'll just call this Dorito 3, I guess. So 1, 2, and 3. So I tried to have kind of a pink line. I'm hoping that you guys can see that fine. But you have that same wrap shot as that little Dorito. This you can shoot up over the top of a lot more things. So this one is probably going to be a little bit more effective. The issue is that you have these smaller boxes that are blocking some shots, so you have to stand up a little bit, so you're exposed to those inside shots. So just make sure that you're playing that tight. So I think this tower might be better to help protect your player, but if you have it where you can stand up, because now you can wrap and keep them out of the Dorito side, this is a good spot to get into. Into the Dorito 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I have these brown lines. This same shot, so you have this, and this are all in that same line. So that makes it a little bit easier to shoot across, and you are able to keep a couple players honest, shooting into here as well, into that other brick. And then, of course, wrapping. This is where you're going to be able to really start pushing and becoming more of a thorn in their side. Now, moving into, let me move this stuff out of the way. Moving into kind of the 50 on the Dorito side. So these bricks, I'm not a huge fan, just because all you can really do is shoot this heads up. It's going to be better to get here. We'll get to that in a second. But you do have some inside shots, so don't discount it completely. You can come up here to shoot and maybe eliminate a player that might be posted or just kind of is an issue for some people. You have options is basically what it comes down to. But you do have some shots on the inside, so it wouldn't be bad to check that off. I just don't like, it's going to be harder to fight. I'd rather be wrapping, basically. when you're shooting this way, you're exposed more to the inside. You have to fight more heads up, but sometimes that might be all that you have. With this 50 little W, you can wrap and start shooting into more of the Dorito side. So of course, this is only going to happen if these guys are not here. Even this box can take a couple steps out and shoot down. So you don't want to just be playing the wrap completely and then just get blasted by someone. But you do have some of those inside shots. Of course, the good thing with both of them is that you can stand up over the top. The good thing with the little W is there's that little nub, so you can use that to kind of block you out and then get some other shots cross field. So it's not a bad spot to get into. So this Dorito and this little W, this now that I'm talking through it, I kind of like this box a little bit more, but I would say on the Dorito side, this tower is going to be fantastic as a 2. Your 1 would be in here, moving into here. They have some options, so you could crawl across, try to get some illuminations, and then dive, and then start wrapping. And of course, this guy needs to filter out so that way you can make it where this player is able to wrap completely. But that's just my opinion right now. Who knows what happens when we actually get out onto the field this weekend. So getting to the snake side, you have not a whole lot from here. I wouldn't stop here. I don't like how it's kind of just out in no man's land. It could be something that you have a play that goes there so that way you can shoot. Maybe there's someone that really favors coming up into this brick. I kind of feel like just come up into here and you can shoot that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that bunker. It might be your only option. Maybe as you dive out, you see that you can't make this gap, so you have to dive out. You do have some inside shots. There's just not a lot. That's really all it comes down to. So this snake 1, what we'll do is actually we'll do snake 1 and snake 2. So snake 2 here, shooting this blue line. So you do have some shots to shoot into there. If you don't feel pressure, I honestly don't see a reason for you to not just check off and then get as low as you can, as flat as possible, and then crawl up into the 50 snake. Because this snake 3 is kind of useless. The only advantage is that you can use it to come across and then wrap and maybe catch someone trying to come across like that. But if you hear that there's no one in the snake and you have someone behind you, like in this God bunker that knows that there's no one in there, I would say just go. If there is someone in the snake, this isn't a bad move because you can come around and then wrap and then maybe try to catch them trying to crawl around and smoke them there, and then you can take the inside route, or you can start wrapping and maybe trying to do some other damage. But it's not one of those spots that I would say, yeah, go here and then go here. If you can bypass this, personally, I probably would. Getting to their side, this, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess snake 5, their snake 3. You have some inside shots, of course, shooting into the middle of the field. You don't necessarily need to do it from there. You could crawl to where these two beams connect and do the same shot, and you're going to be a little bit more protected because you don't have to worry about, coming across. You can just pop up real quick, shoot, and then lay back down. You might even bait someone to come through, and now you've taken out this player and trade with that person. You could be doing your job. Or you could just bypass that completely and just go right into their snake, and then you can start shooting people in the back. And then, of course, you could always back up a little bit and shoot someone there if you needed to. But hopefully if you're here, that means that there's a lot of other guys that are following up behind you. This snake is definitely going to get bloody. My opinion is it's probably going to be you send one, have them go as far as they can, cause a bunch of havoc, someone's going to trade with them, and then you send another one. I can't remember what layout it was that was similar to this, but that's basically what it was. You sent the first guy to go through and probably trade with someone here, and then the next one would filter in. So if you can make it where no one can fill in, so you have them in a spot that's going to be very difficult for them to actually get into the snake, then that makes it super easy for this guy because then they're able to just go all the way down and just do a bunch of damage. And then even if this guy tries to just desperation go, either your player is going to catch him or you've already shot 2 or 3 of his buddies and you take him too. Now the middle, I know that this is very messy as well, but the middle, I think that this is going to be kind of a point. This wing is going to be one of those points that you'll be able to decide where is it that I can help. Unless you have a play where you're going to go to one of these bricks, which is totally possible. It might be that you have it where you stop here and then you're filtering over or going up to the snake side brick. You have a couple options though. If let's say that is the play, is get here and then figure out what is it that you want to do. So coming up into here, you can shoot down more on the snake because you can stand up super tall behind these and shoot into the snake and into the 50 snake. Shooting into the Dorito side, you have all of that there. So again, you can help out. So if you were in this kind of a situation and you wanted to filter up instead of going across, you would have that option. I don't know that I would do that. I might want to stay here, but this is also a good launching point into the Dorito side brick. Now, the Dorito side brick, I think, is going to be pretty powerful. I think just because you have so many options of being able to cut up the snake side or cut up the Dorito side. More the Dorito side than the snake side, but looking at it, we'll get to the snake side brick in a second, but this one, you can shoot the heads up, you can shoot into that gap, then also into that gap, and then also into this gap. So if somehow they make it past here, you can shoot through here. Or it's going to force them to, again, have to come through and trade with you, which might open up the Dorito side for your Dorito players. So if you do that and you cause it where now your guys are able to wrap and they have traded with you, it's worth it. You also can always switch and shoot into the snake side. Now this one is real good because if they haven't gotten into the snake, and you just be pumping that gap. So it might be kind of boring, but you do have that option. Now the snake side brick isn't bad. It might be that maybe you can't make this gap because it looks like it's a little bit bigger on this side and you don't have the other wedge blocking you out. So maybe all you can do is go over here to help out your Dorito side, in which case you can still shoot a lot of those same gaps. So the only thing with this is like you have the heads up shot. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some bounces off these pins. That's the only downside. The advantage, though, is if someone did get into the snake, let's say they got past your gun, you might be able to stand up a little bit tall and maybe shoot down on them, but it depends on the player, I guess. Of course, once you get to their side, you're going to have a lot more shots into there. It might not be bad to just go through and just continue and just run straight up and go into their side. But this wing, if you did do that, you have a lot of those same gaps. It's going to be easier to shoot them because they're closer. And of course, if you get to their side, then you just cause a bunch of havoc. So I like either of these bricks. Looking at it, I think I like this one a little bit more, but this one does have the advantage of being able to continue through easier to their side. So it might just depend on the breakdown, but for helping out with the Dorito side, either is going to be fine. The snake side, it is a further shot, but you have a lot more room. You're just going to have to be pumping that gap. With this one, they can kind of put you in, and then you have a smaller gap, so if you miss and they dive in and crawl all the way down, they're probably going to have an easier time being able to shoot you, unless they tried to run across, which I'm not sure how that's going to work out in those situations. So it's not that one is better than the other, I guess. I think looking at it right now on paper, this one, you're just able to pick what side can I help more. If you're looking to go and attack, it might not be bad to come here and then go to the snake side, so that way you can go through. Or if you see someone is favoring this brick, you can come through here and then you can shoot them as they go in. So I think actually, now I'm talking through this, I'm kind of talking myself out of it. So I think with either of them, it's going to be good. It just depends on how the game is breaking down. Whatever you decide to do, just make sure that you have your teammates telling you if they need you to switch or they need you to have it where they need help on one side, or if you have a code that tells people that, yeah, go through and kind of cause some havoc, then you're able to do that really from either side. It just depends on where they're at. Going from here to here is going to be easier than running this. It's a little bit bigger of a gap. And the Dorito side is going to be harder to check off because you'd have to wrap. And now if these guys shoot cross, they'll be able to see you a little bit easier. Whereas this way, if you're shooting, you have some things blocking you. Of course, if they're in the 50 snake, then going through, you're going to get smoked. But it's all going to be just based on what you see, I guess. But I think I still want to stay with this one. Is going to be a little bit stronger. You're a little bit more of an island, but you can help out a lot on your Dorito side, especially once they get over to their side. Then you can wrap and just have all of this. And then if you wanted to, then you could run up into here and wrap, go through and go, you know, trade with someone or whatever. So it's not that one is necessarily this so much better than the other. I think I just like this one a little bit more, but we'll see how things break down this weekend. So looking at bounce shots, I wasn't sure if there was going to be a lot of bounce shots. Initially, I thought that there wasn't going to be. Then I started looking, and you can see a lot that you guys should try. So starting with this light blue one, I think if you shoot off this pin, it'll probably skip into this area. So if someone is kind of posted, maybe trying to shoot inside, you might be able to bounce it off that pin. Same thing with this pin. If they do go into that snake, what we were calling it, snake 3, that might be an option for you to be able to bounce into there. I'm not sure if it's going to be effective at stopping someone from crawling around, but maybe it'll stop them, make them pause for a second until someone can get dominant, or if you have nothing else to do on that side. Let's just keep going down the Dorito side. So from this Dorito, again, these are all with a grain of salt, right? So if you wrap, shoot your mirror, it might bounce off and go up a little bit into that Dorito corner. Wrapping, shooting off this tower will bounce into that tower. Going into this Dorito, shooting off that tower might go into the God. And then I guess we'll just keep going this way. From this brick, it might be possible to shoot here, and again, it skip off. This might actually be a little bit better of an angle than this one, just because you're shooting more at an angle rather than more heads up. But try that and see if that bounces in, because if that makes this guy useless, then it forces them to have to stop here or have to do something else. So you stop them from going really, really wide. Let's see. So from here, off the home, I might bounce into the can. Let's look at, I'm trying to see where to go next. I guess we'll go from the back to the front now on the snake side. This brown line, again, this is a kind of, if the shot is there, because you can stand up and shoot down, you might be able to skip it off the snake 3 and bounce it into that. It's a possibility. Just something that I saw that I wanted to share with you guys. Shooting this pin, I think, might be enough that it pushes them back. So it's going to take away some of the shots to keep someone from getting into the snake. So it could be enough that it either bounces off into them, or it freaks them out enough that they have to back off. From the snake 1, I think you can bounce off that same pin as well. It might be too close, but sometimes it actually does work. From here, this is one that if they're backed off or they're trying to wrap or something, you could bounce it off here probably, but I don't think it's going to bounce back. So if someone is in their bunker, I don't think you're going to be able to get them with this one, but it's a possibility. Let's see. Then from the other brick off the home, I think might bounce into that can. So that's basically it. I know that that's a lot, but at the same time, it's an interesting layout. It'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. If you guys are in Florida, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be at just yet, but tell me what it is that you guys think of the Lone Star Major here, or going to be in Texas. I won't be at that event, but I'll be practicing this weekend on it. So, of course, make sure that you guys like and subscribe and click the bell so that way you know exactly when it is that I'll have my playing video out. And we'll see if some of these things work out, and I'll probably put up my playing critique pretty quickly as well. This will also be the MVPS layout. So if you're playing in that league in Florida, they already announced that it's going to be the same thing. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.